There is a place on this planet so remote that if you want to leave, you have to wait. Not for a taxi, not for a train, you wait for a ship. And the ship doesn't come every day. It doesn't come every week. This is St. Helena, a volcanic island in the middle of the South Atlantic, 1,200 miles from the nearest coast, home to 4,500 people who have never known anything else. Napoleon Bonaparte was sent here to die. He called it the most horrible place in the world. But there is a tortoise on this island who has lived here for 190 years. He was already old when Napoleon arrived. He is still here. And by the end of this documentary, you'll understand why some people choose never to leave. Imagine drawing a circle in the middle of the ocean. Make it 47 square miles wide. Surround it on every side with 1,200 miles of open water. Then put 4,500 people inside that circle and tell them, this is it. St. Helena is not a metaphor. It is a real place. A British overseas territory in the South Atlantic Ocean, discovered in 1502, inhabited ever since. But here is the part that stops people cold. Until 2016, this island had no airport. For centuries, the only way to reach St. Helena was by sea. One ship, the Royal Mail ship St. Helena. It came every 3 to 5 weeks. It brought food, medicine, mail, news from the outside world. And when it left, the island went silent again. In this documentary, we are going to answer one question. Not what St. Helena looks like, but what it feels like to be born in a place the world forgot. Stay until the end. Because there is something about this island, something almost no documentary mentions, that will change the way you think about home. St. Helena did not always exist. It was born. Roughly 14 million years ago, a hotspot in the Earth's mantle began punching through the ocean floor. Lava forced its way up through 2,000 meters of water, layer by layer, eruption by eruption, until one day the rock broke the surface. The island that emerged was not gentle. St. Helena is essentially a shield volcano, roughly 122 square kilometers of rock, with sea cliffs on almost every side, vertical drops of 200 to 600 meters straight into the Atlantic. There are only 2 natural landing points on the entire island, 2 in 122 square kilometers. The rest of the coastline is a wall, and that wall is exactly why St. Helena became what it became. A prison, a fortress, a sanctuary, a trap, depending entirely on who you were when you arrived. Inside the walls of rock, the island is something else entirely. The interior is green. Surprisingly, hauntingly green. Cloud forest clings to the peaks. Flax fields roll down the hillsides. There are valleys that catch the wind and hold it. There are roads that cling to ridges 400 meters above the sea. Diana's Peak reaches 820 meters. It is always in cloud. On some mornings, the whole mountain disappears into white, and the island looks like it is floating. The climate is almost perfect. Average temperature, 17 to 24 degrees Celsius year-round. Rain falls reliably at altitude. The southeast trade winds blow constantly, every day, without fail. And yet the island is almost impossible to reach. That contradiction, a livable interior sealed behind an impassable exterior, is the entire story of St. Helena. Jamestown sits in a valley 400 meters wide. It is the only town on the island. Every single person on St. Helena lives within 10 kilometers of this valley. One main street, one harbor, one way in. At the top of that valley, carved directly into the hillside, Jacob's Ladder. 699 steps, ascending 183 meters in a straight vertical line, built in 1829 to haul supplies from the harbor to the fort above. Every morning, people climb it for exercise. Tourists climb it once and regret it. Children have been racing up it for 200 years. St. Helena is a place that teaches you immediately. Here, nothing is flat. Here, everything requires effort. And here, effort is not optional. But before we understand the people, we need to understand the history, because the history of St. Helena is unlike any other island on Earth. And it begins with silence. 500 years of silence, before a Portuguese ship changed everything. May 21st, 1502. A Portuguese fleet commanded by João de Nova is sailing north from the Cape of Good Hope. They are returning from India. The fleet is exhausted. The men are sick. Then, on the horizon, something appears that is not supposed to be there. An island, rising from the ocean like a black cathedral. The date was May 21st, the feast of St. Helena. And so, the island received its name. The Portuguese found no people. No indigenous population had ever lived here. The island was empty, just birds, trees, and silence. They planted vegetable gardens, released goats, left supplies for future voyages. For over a century, St. Helena was a secret. The Portuguese kept it off their maps. It was their private way station on the route to Asia. But secrets don't survive forever. In 1588, the English privateer Thomas Cavendish stumbled upon the island. He found the Portuguese gardens, their goats, their chapel, and he told London everything. What followed was a century of competition. The English East India Company claimed St. Helena in 1659. They built the first permanent settlement. They fortified the harbor. They brought enslaved people from Madagascar and West Africa to work the land. St. Helena became the most important watering hole in the world. Every ship sailing between Europe and Asia passed near it. It was the last place to take on fresh water before the long Atlantic crossing. The last place to trade, to repair, to bury the dead. At the peak of the East India Company era, the mid-1700s, over 1,000 ships per year passed within sight of St. Helena. Think about that number. More than 1,000 ships per year. On an island you have probably never heard of. But the island's most famous moment was still to come. And it arrived on October 15th, 1815. In the form of a man the entire world feared. Napoleon Bonaparte, Emperor of France, conqueror of Europe. He had been defeated at Waterloo 4 months earlier. The British had to put him somewhere no army could reach, somewhere with no allies, somewhere he could never escape. They chose St. Helena. Napoleon arrived on October 15th and called the island immediately abominable. He was housed at Longwood House, a former livestock barn converted into a residence. It leaked in the rain. Rats lived in the walls. The southeast trade winds never stopped. Napoleon dictated his memoirs here. He gardened. He complained about the governor, Sir Hudson Lowe. whom he despised. He paced the same rooms for 6 years. On May 5th, 1821, Napoleon Bonaparte died at Longwood House. He was 51 years old. He was buried in a valley called Seine Valley, under 3 willow trees. His grave had no name. The British refused to inscribe emperor on the stone. So rather than accept a lesser title, Napoleon's companions left it blank. For 19 years, Napoleon lay nameless in this valley, until 1840, when France finally negotiated the return of his remains. His body was exhumed. It was remarkably preserved, and today, Napoleon is entombed beneath Les Invalides in Paris. But his grave is still here, empty. The willow trees are still here. The valley is still here. Every year, thousands of people make the journey to St. Helena, specifically to stand in that valley, to stand where Napoleon stood, where the most powerful man in the world spent his final years, trapped. The irony is not lost on the saints. They grew up in the place Napoleon called a prison, and most of them choose never to leave it. But who exactly are the saints? Where did they come from? And what happened to them when the ships stopped coming? That story is next. We promised you something at the beginning of this documentary, something almost no film about St. Helena mentions. His name is Jonathan. He is a Seychelles giant tortoise. He was born around 1832. He is, as of today, approximately 194 years old. He is officially the oldest living land animal on Earth, confirmed by the Guinness World Records. He lives on the lawn of Plantation House, the governor's residence, on St. Helena. He has lived there for over 140 years. Jonathan was already 50 years old when Napoleon's body was exhumed and shipped to France. He was already old when the American Civil War began. He was alive during 2 world wars. He was already ancient when the first aircraft flew, and he is still here, still eating grass on an island that the world forgot. We'll come back to Jonathan, because his story and the story of the saints are more connected than you might think. But first, who built this community? And what does it mean to be a saint? The saints are not one people. They are the result of 400 years of collision. When the East India Company settled St. Helena in 1659, they brought enslaved people from Madagascar, then from West Africa, then from India and Southeast Asia. They brought indentured workers, soldiers, merchants. Chinese laborers came in the 1800s. European settlers arrived in waves over 3 centuries. All of them arrived on an island with no exit. And on an island with no exit, people mix. Generations mix. Cultures mix. Languages mix. The result is the saints. A people with English surnames and African features, with Chinese eyes and Indian cooking, who speak English with an accent found nowhere else on Earth. Linguists call the saints' accent unique and unclassifiable. It has traces of 17th century English. It has rhythm patterns from Bantu languages. It rises and falls in ways that feel almost musical. And it is spoken by exactly 4,500 people in the world. 4,500 people speak this accent. If it disappears, no recording can bring it back. The architecture of Jamestown has not changed in 200 years. The main street is Georgian. The buildings are whitewashed. There is a castle, built in 1659, that still functions as the government headquarters. There are no traffic lights on the island. There is one hospital, one secondary school, one radio station, one newspaper, the St. Helena Herald. Most people know each other by name. When someone dies, the whole island mourns. When someone is born, the whole island celebrates. Crime is almost non-existent. The police station exists. But the officers spend most of their time dealing with traffic incidents on mountain roads. The rhythm of life on St. Helena follows the seasons, the tides, and the ships. For centuries, when the mail ship arrived, it was an event. Everyone came to the harbor. Everyone gathered. The entire island came alive for a few hours. And then the ship left, and the silence returned. The saints developed a phrase for this rhythm. They call it island time. Not lazy, not slow, calibrated to the reality that some things cannot be rushed, that the ship comes when it comes, that the storm passes when it passes, that tomorrow is not guaranteed. But that today, this valley, this hill, this harbor is enough. But island time was about to be shattered, not by a storm, not by war, by an airport. For decades, the saints had asked for an airport. The argument was simple. An airport means access. Access means trade. Trade means survival. The British government agreed. Construction began in 2012. Cost £285 million British pounds for an island of 4,500 people. That is roughly £63,000 per person. The airport opened in 2016. The first commercial flight landed. The saints gathered at the terminal. They cheered. They cried. And then, nothing. Wind shear, the unique geography of St. Helena, the same cliffs that make the island beautiful, created wind patterns that made the airport nearly unusable. Pilots approached the runway and found violent, unpredictable crosswinds. An analysis found the airport could only operate safely during limited hours, with specific aircraft types, under specific conditions. The dream of a weekly 747 service to London never came. Instead, one small aircraft, once or twice a week, from Johannesburg. The Royal Mail ship St. Helena, the mail ship that had served the island for decades, was retired in 2018. The airport was supposed to replace it, but the airport could not carry freight the way a ship could not carry the heavy machinery the island needed, could not carry the medical equipment. For a period of months in 2018, St. Helena had no reliable freight service. Shops ran low on supplies. Medicine was delayed. The island, that had survived 500 years of isolation, nearly ran out of food because of an airport. A temporary cargo ship was eventually arranged. The crisis passed, but the lesson was permanent. St. Helena cannot simply open itself to the modern world. The geography that protected it for 500 years also limits what it can become. Every solution creates a new problem. Every connection to the outside world threatens something irreplaceable inside. And that is the question every saint is living right now. Open or closed, connected or preserved. The same question Napoleon never got to choose. The answer is not simple. And the person who has been watching this debate the longest is Jonathan. Jonathan was born around 1832. He arrived on St. Helena as a young adult, sometime around 1882. He was brought from the Seychelles as a gift to the island's governor. He was here when the last American clipper ships rounded the island. He was here when the Boer War prisoners were held on the island, 6,000 of them, between 1900 and 1902. He was here when the mail ship first arrived and when it made its final departure. He was here when the airport opened and when it nearly closed the island down. Jonathan is now blind. He can no longer see the hills he has walked for 140 years. His sense of smell guides him to food. His keeper, Joe Hollins, feeds him by hand every Sunday. He eats apples, bananas, cucumbers, carrots, lettuce. The island's veterinarian describes Jonathan as content, not unhappy, not suffering, content. There is something in that word, content, that the saints understand in a way most people don't. They have no Amazon Prime next-day delivery. They have no stadium concerts. They have no four-lane highways. They have no anonymity, but they know every star in their sky. They know the name of every person they pass on the road. They know that the wind will be from the southeast today, and tomorrow, and the day after that. They know where they come from, and they know where they will be buried. For some people, that knowledge is a trap. For the saints, it is a foundation. St. Helena is 47 square miles. Population, 4,534. Distance to nearest continent, 1,950 kilometers. Founded, 1,502. Still here, today. It is the world's most remote, permanently inhabited island. It is a fortress built by geology, reinforced by history, and maintained by choice. Napoleon came here against his will and spent 6 years trying to escape it. Jonathan came here and stayed for 140 years. The difference between a prison and a home is not the walls. It is what you decide to love inside them. St. Helena is still there. The cliffs are still black. The wind is still from the southeast. And Jonathan is still eating. Every day. The same as he did the day Napoleon's body was carried to the harbor. The same as he will do tomorrow. Tell me something in the comments. If you could live on St. Helena for 1 year, no internet, no deliveries, no easy way out, would you go? Because everyone I have ever asked that question takes longer to answer than they expect. If this documentary made you think, subscribe and turn on notifications. Every week, we go to the places the world forgot, and we stay long enough to understand them. If you want to understand how deep this isolation can go, head over to the channel right now. There, you can discover the story of the absolute closest neighbor to this fortress, a tiny volcanic settlement lost in the exact same endless blue. Tristan da Cunha. See you there.